I need to do anything? OK. Good morning. So we've got a few more kind of straggling in, but I'm going to go ahead and get started because I think that while the contents of this session are fairly short from having done this a few times, usually we have a lot of Q&A afterwards, and I want to make plenty of time for that. So just a couple quick ground rules. This does change a lot of everything. So if you have questions, I don't really want you to hold them till the end. Go ahead, come down here. We've got a mic, maybe right here. If you have questions, you can come up here and just feel free to interrupt me at a semi-convenient time, and I'll address them as we go. So this is Site Building 2.0, how Layout Builder is going to change everything. If you haven't gotten to see Layout Builder beyond what Dries just showed, we're going to really kind of dive in pretty in-depth on it here and explore the edges of the box some. I am Kris Vanderwater. I'm a senior software engineer at Acquia, and I go by Eclipse GC online. So I'm also a co-maintainer of CTools for anybody who might be using that project. And I've been a contributor to Drupal 8, Drupal 7, Drupal 6, been around for a little while. Most of that time, my focus has really been in page layout. Most of that has also been in the contrib ecosystem. But I care about page layout very much. I have helped Page Manager, Panels, Panelizer, all of really that suite of layout tools over the years. I'm also a co-author of Drupal 8's plugin subsystem. So if you are a developer and you've worked with plugins and you liked it, I have some blame to bear. And if you didn't like it, I can direct you to some of the other people involved. Also, I've been doing Drupal for the last 13 or so years, give or take. So I've seen a lot in this community and in how we do development and the sort of things that we do. Yeah, it's fun. So as you can see, my slides are very extensive. So let's just get into it. All right. So I have a really small little Drupal site here. Oh, wow. I swear I deleted that. I did delete that. Oh, it's cache. Hold on. It's always something when you live demo. Hey, that's what I expected. OK, so what we've got here is a really simple Drupal site. This is Drupal 8.6.1. I have 0 patches applied to it. So everything you'll see today is out of the box 8.6.1. And I'm going to add in a couple of little extra things. So clearly, I have my own theme applied to this. I have worked very hard on this theme. And I also have a custom module that's not yet installed here. And we'll dig into what that module does as we kind of go. So this session is made up of a demo. And then we will get into the code afterwards. So everything's fair game. You have questions, you want to see how something works, I'll take you into it and show you how it works. First thing we're going to do is just kind of acclimate ourselves very quickly. So I just have a couple of pieces of article content. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into Manage Display. And this is what we're pretty used to. This is what Drupal has done for many, many years at this point, at least since Drupal 7, with regard to how the Manage Display tab looks. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to come into Extend here, and we're going to look for Layout Builder. And I want to turn Layout Builder on. And so this is, as I said earlier, all core functionality. Now, once Layout Builder's turned on, if we come back and we refresh this page, you'll see I have a new check mark that says Use Layout Builder. Cool, let's do that. So I'll just hit Save on this, and it hijacks this entire page and gives me a Manage Layout button, which is really kind of nice, because now I have a layout already built for me that I can get in. And this largely replicates what you're going to be used to from like a Drupal manage display page already. So it's just drag and drop on top of each other here. And so if I want to change like how this image is being shown, I have a configure button that pops open the sidebar. And these are all the same sort of, you know what, you all probably can't see that. Is that better? Yeah? All right. So it pops open the sidebar, and these are the formatter. This is the formatter widget, so I can change it just like you would see inside of managed displays. Now, I'm not going to do that for the moment. I want to do something fun instead. So the first thing that we can do is we can drag and drop this. And you can see just like that, the image is now going to be underneath the text. So that's like, all right, great. The other thing we can do is we now have the ability to add sections to this. Yeah, Mike.
How is it possible to move the image inline?
No. So the image, you could do this with some degree of styling. So for example, Bartik does that actually out of the box, is it kind of like forcibly styles the image in line with the other block. But these are discrete block elements on the page. So in that sense, no, they're both like block level display elements in the CSS sense and have like a number of wrapping divs around them.
But that the text area could actually be WYSIWYG, and it could already have an image if you wanted that kind of.
That is absolutely true.
Thank you.
Yep. So I'm going to add another layout to this page, and we're going to choose to make it a 2-column layout. And you'll see I still have all of my content down here, but I just got 4 additional regions placed on this page. So if I want to take like my image here and drop it in a sidebar, I can do that. And then I could do the same thing with my content. Yep. And so if I want to take tags, I can put them there. And I could take like links and maybe put the links over here. Yep. And then we'll take comments and put that down here, right? And then I can actually throw away the region that I had that I'm not using anymore. I can just make it go away. And we can hit save on this. And so what that means now is that if I were to come back to my front page, I can go look at one of these, and it's going to be laid out the way that we just saw, right? Like I literally just changed the layout of the full display of node articles. That's pretty cool. But we can do this for other view modes as well. So if I want to customize how teasers look, I can come in here, I can say, let's use the layout builder. And once I do that, I can manage the layout of a teaser. Now, before I do that, I think I actually want to come over and enable my module. And just for the sake of reference, all of the layouts you see right here, let's see, we have 5 different layouts here. These are the ones that Core ships. So we've got a 1-column, a couple variations of kind of 2 columns, and a couple variations of 3 columns. But importantly, these are all stacked. So when you look at one, you're going to have like a full width top bar and bottom bar, and then maybe a 50-50, which is what we're shipping with. And we have to ship with this for historical reasons, because layout discovery and these layout plugins, whether you knew it or not, have actually been available in Core for a couple releases now. I think since maybe 8.4 we got this committed. And so anybody in here use like Panelizer or Display Suite or anything like that? Yeah, all those layouts that look like this, they came from Core. So if we were to remove these, your sites using these layouts would suddenly stop working. So obviously we don't want to do that. So it's easy, however, to add your own layouts. So I have a module here called layouts, that's plural. It's on Drupal.org, and it has most of the features you'll see today. Quick caveat, this is my sandbox. So I reserve the right to nuke this project and do something totally different at any time. It is there just to kind of inspire you and let you copy and paste ideas and make use of them. So I'm going to install this module real quick. And what that's going to do for me is, if I hit add sections again, I now have a whole new group of layouts. And none of these are stacked. And this is actually going to make my life a little easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 3366, and we're going to add that. And now I can just move my image in here, and I can move my text in here, and maybe we would do that. Working with that much text can be difficult. So if I hit save on this, we can come back to the home page. And you're going to see that, just like that, all my teasers updated. What is this page? It's a view. So I am now I'm showing layouts through a view via the view mode system, right? So this is multiple layouts on a single page across multiple entities. This can get really powerful really quick. So you can even mix and match different bundles and have completely different layouts per bundle showing up in something like this. So you can imagine something like search results. If you wanted to customize how different bundles of the same entity type looked in different search results, Layout Builder can be your friend really, really quickly. So this is all pretty standard panelizer or display suite level stuff. But I want to go ahead and take it up a notch. So if we come back into the default, you'll notice that we have another check mark down here that I've resolutely ignored. And it is allow each content item to have its layout customized. So if it's save on that, we can come into one of these nodes, and you'll see I now have a layout tab, okay? If I click that, it's going to show me the layout that's actually applied to this, but it's specific to the node that we're staring at now. So instead of having the generated content with the generated image and the lorem ipsum text, I really am laying out the very node that I'm staring at now. So we can go ahead and do something in here real quick, where we do something like, let's do a 6633 here. We'll hit add section. And I'm going to place my text there, and my image there. And yeah. You know what? I'm going to throw this away, and we'll just start from scratch on this. So I can add another section to this. And on this one, I'm going to do a 3366. Cool. And I think every demo needs the powered by Drupal block. It's a requirement. So let's hit save on that. All right. And just like that, you can see I have two stacked layouts that I chose which ones I wanted to use. And so we have a 6633 on top and a 3366 on bottom. And just like that, you can kind of begin to compose together individual layouts into a page that makes sense for your customer's needs. This is very similar to what the demo in the keynote showed. But I want to do more. So this page is pretty bland. Layouts are plugins, okay? They're backed by a twig template. And since they're plugins, we can do things like make them configurable. So I can come in here, and I can actually do things like this. Maybe I want to update this and make it narrow so that it doesn't go full width all the time. And this is really great because what this is doing is this is actually using classes that I went ahead and put into that theme that I worked so hard on, so that right now, in the preview, you can see what it's going to look like. So here it is on live. here it is over in preview, right? We can go ahead and make changes to all of this stuff and visually see almost exactly how it's going to look when we hit the save button. I think I want to do a little more though, so let's make this a blue section. So now it's a narrow blue section. The styling for it completely changed, and I'm just going to make the section down here. We'll leave it white, but we'll also make it narrow so that it matches, and I'm going to hit save. And now I actually have the beginnings of what looks almost like a respectable design to a certain degree. I mean, you know, developer, but whatever. All right, questions before I move on? Anyone? No? That was pretty straightforward? Yeah, I've got a mic down here.
Actually, I'm interested if it's possible to, let's say, inherit layouts in other layouts. Or do I need to create every type of combination separately?
Okay, so there are a couple of elements to the question you just asked. The first thing is, just to be really clear, I can make, like, I prefer to think about this as like rows of layouts, right? So over here, I can add as many of these as I want to any given page, any given layout user interface. So if I want to add 20 different layouts to a page with different content all the way down, I can do that. So in comparison to, say, Drupal 7 or Panelizer or Panels or Page Manager, any of these things, you could apply one layout to those. So you needed to come up with like some convoluted system for showing and hiding regions, or you had to build every single layout you could conceive of. In this case, you can just build discrete chunks and piece them together on any page where it makes sense. So that's point number one. And point number two, as far as like inheritance goes, I'm not entirely sure how to answer that question precisely, but so the manage page that we started with, I'll just go back to that. This layout right here on the default is what I will inherit when I start customizing a layout. So if we go and we look at, let's look at the Spitzer Space Telescope, right? If I click layout on this, you'll see I have this blank one on top with the left and right 50-50 and then my comments and stuff on bottom. That's exactly the same layout as what's in my default. So I automatically inherit from that, and then I can make changes to it. But whatever changes I choose to make, I'm disconnected from that inheritance now. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, probably not completely. Probably I ask in a wrong way. So for example, if I have a layout 50-50, two column, if I would be able to put inside of one of the columns another 50-50 layout on the left and on the right, I would have a 25, 25, 25, 25.
Sure. We'll get to layouts within layouts here in a few minutes, which is to say, like, it can be done, but probably not the way you're thinking. Like it's a very controlled mechanism for getting where we wanted to go. Oh, we got another one up here. Okay.
I have seen a page builder like this in other CMS, and I have seen that we can build layout and save make can I say pre-save configuration for layout to quickly implement them, like generic. I don't really know to say in English, but pre-save configuration for layout and what will be in the layout to quickly charge them. Do you think this functionality can be implemented?
How about, like, find me afterwards and let's talk about that one more in depth so that I can get a real understanding of everything you're asking. Yeah, Ted.
There's a module called Layout Library that's being built to work with that, so that will allow you to It's not ready yet, but it would allow you to have different layouts ready that you could use other places.
Cool.
What is it possible to, the add block, like, if I wanted to add, does it work with paragraphs, or do I create a custom block with its own, custom block type, excuse me, with its own fields rather than a paragraph?
I will totally get into that, I
Great,
promise.
thank you.
What about mobile formats? That looks great on a large screen, but how on the mobile formats, a phone or tablet?
Yeah, so the layouts themselves are, I mean, they're just driven by a little bit of CSS. And actually, let's put a pause on the questions, because I think I can truncate a bunch of these if I get through the rest of the demo. So I'll do that for the time being. I just want to prove that I can actually have multiple layouts existing at once. So let's go do that real quick. I'm going to add a section on this one, and I think we'll do the inverse of what we've done in the past. Narrow, and I think I have a red section, actually. Yep, I do. And I'm just going to throw that away, because I don't want it. So now I've got node 2 here. It's clearly red. And I've got node 3 here. It's clearly not. So you can see these are both node articles, and core out of the box is letting me actually have completely different layouts on a node by node basis for node articles, because we opted into doing that. Okay? So what I want to do now is I'm going to go in and I'm going to build a custom article from scratch. And I want to get into some of the extra features that are present as of the release in 8.6. So I'm just going to hop into content. And I want to make an article on Orion. Actually, nope, let's do the Milky Way. I'm just going to paste a little bit of stuff in here, and we're going to go. All right, so this is pretty bare, but I'm going to get in, and I'm going to start customizing this via the layout sections. And so let's go ahead and do something along these lines. Now, the configuration screen over in the left-hand side is completely plugin specific. So if you wanted to, let's say, provide a list of classes that someone could choose from and drop it into a select box, that's well within your rights to do, and something that's pretty easy to begin doing. And we'll show that here in just a little bit. But what I want to do right now is I want to start talking about custom inline blocks. And so we have a whole section to this called inline blocks. And I can add a new image block to this. And let's see. Oh, of course it's not organized. There we go. All right, so now what I just did was I added an image to this node type via a custom block. Now, this could just as easily have been page, so that it doesn't have any extra fields beyond body. I'm not using the fields that are attached to this entity type any longer. I'm using the fields that are attached to custom block types. And I'm actually going to go ahead and just save right here. And if we come over to block layout, and we actually look at the custom block library, you'll see I don't have any custom blocks in my library. I can't go into the block layout system and place it, right? So I called that one like Milky Way 01 or something like that. It doesn't exist in any way that anyone can get at except for the page that we placed it on. So it's not going to begin to pollute your user interface with all of these inline blocks that you create, which is really important both from a performance perspective and also from just a usability perspective. So we can really, this opens the door to kind of go wild on this. I can come back into the layout and we could maybe add another layout to this. And we'll also make this one narrow. And, oh, I actually didn't mean to do that. You can remove sections, you can add sections, you can not yet drag section groups around. It is on our list of things to do for stable, I believe. Ted, keep me honest. You think? Okay, that's good. I think so too. So let's go ahead and just add another block here. I'm going to go ahead and add another image block. And this one we'll do. Maybe over here we will. Yes, yep. Maybe I shouldn't do that. There we go. We'll do that. And so I can also add just like a basic block into this. What was the title on that? Yep. All right, I'm going to hit save. So now I have completely disconnected and differentiated sections as we go. I can have the granular field level items that I want to add just as custom blocks. So if you wanted to add an arbitrary group of links to this page, you could have a links block that you apply anywhere you want. You could have more convoluted blocks. Maybe you don't want just an image. Maybe you want an image and you want some text to go along with it. And so you could go build a custom block that looks like that. So these things all become possible. And what's really cool about that is this. Who all in here's used Panelizer? Anybody? Yeah, that's a pretty good chunk of the room. So Panelizer has this thing where it really only lays out users' terms and nodes, and it required us to create a new plugin type for each one of those things when we did it. But that is not the case with what we've shipped in Drupal core. So I added what I call a layout block in here. And if we come into manage fields, you'll see that it doesn't have any. So if I go to manage display, I can actually tell it to use layout builder and that I want to allow customization of each individual block of this bundle. And that lets us do some really cool stuff because now I can come in here and add a layout block, and maybe we'll call this one header, and I'll hit save. And now if we go and we edit this, I have a layout tab on the custom block. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a image section. Now this is a custom section type that I created just for the purposes of this. And what I can do is I can go reference some media. I can say that I want it at a particular image style, and I can hit add on that. And you'll see just like that, we got a parallax background. Maybe I don't want the parallax. Maybe we get rid of that. And so now it's all stable. And I'm going to add another section up top here. And this one's going to be a navigation section. And this is another custom section that I've added. So within here, I'm going to reference another media item for my logo. We'll reference an image style here, and then I want to add the main menu system to it. And so this is set up with explicitly the configuration that I want to force on the user. I don't want them to willy-nilly add whatever they want to various regions. I decided what this is for. So I'm going to hit add sections, and just like that, you can see I actually have the beginnings of what looks like a fairly usable header. So let's hit save on that. I'm going to leave that one open, and over here in the header section, I'm going to actually add my header. All right, so let's go view node 2 now. And you'll see I actually have a header attached to the page, which is pretty cool. I did this by mixing the old block layout and the new layout builder together and getting them all on one page. But since I can kind of customize this however I like with additional classes, I think I will. And so let's go ahead and configure this. We'll make it also narrow, and I have a custom class called header navigation, which is going to buy me a couple quick things. It stickies the header at the top of the page so that it actually moves along with me, and I have a very viable site that I've built exclusively through the user interface thus far, and just a little bit of CSS. Now, normally I fly through this section, but we have kind of some extra components here. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop open PHP Storm and actually show the code that runs some of this stuff so that you guys get as much exposure as possible. And so at this point, I think if people want to start asking questions again, hopefully I've answered a bunch of them, but feel free. So we define new layouts through a layouts.yaml file, okay? And so these are all the layouts that my custom module provided. And so if we kind of dig in here, and maybe let's look at the navigation one that we saw that was driving the header earlier, you can see that I'm specifying a custom class for it to run through. Now, you normally don't have to do this with layouts. If you don't specify a custom class, there's one in core that'll take over for you, and it will do most of what you need and expect. But within this, if I pop it open, we can actually do things where we begin reinterpreting the configuration. And is this kind of a mess? Yes, it's totally kind of a mess, especially if you're a front-ender and you want to make something really simple. But it's like 30 lines of code tops that I'm hoping people can look at the work I've done here and begin to interpret from and copy and paste from and make use of. Because really, we're just building a build array, and we're manipulating certain attributes with our configuration. Yeah?
I have a question on block layouts. For example, if we have layouts inside the block and input block inside the other node layout, will it work?
Yes.
So by that way, we can have layout inside layout. Okay, got it.
Yes, yeah, I had said that I would get to layouts, and that's precisely the way to do it. I didn't explicitly answer, sorry. Importantly, though, if you're going to do that, make sure you're using percentage-based layouts, right? Because if you have like fixed pixel widths, you're going to have a bad time.
So what we're looking at here, this was how you generated the different fields for the header?
Yeah, so this is the build region for it, but there's a configuration form sitting down here, and those are the form elements that pop open in the sidebar.
Right, so that's not configurable in the UI?
No, this is how you make something configurable in the UI. You need actual code to do that, yes. Which is, the look on your face is why I produced the module, so that people could come in and see, like, how do I do that? So you look at the layouts YAML, and it'll tell you class. You just go look at that class, and there's some very simple ones in here.
Sure.
Right.
Can you also show us what the HTML markup of the layouts looks like, please?
Yep, absolutely. So, and these specify that. So it says, like, your template is going to be layouts -- navigation, and it also tells you where to find that. So this is the directory. This is your template. So layouts, navigation, Layouts navigation. This is an HTML twig file. Not much to see, right? This is super straightforward. You know, the idea here, at least from our part, was that there's really not a lot of reason for you to be customizing the individual layout twig templates, because what we wanted to do was drive the barrier to entry as far down as we could. So you define new layout twig files, and you just document them inside your layouts YAML, and as quickly as that, you have new layouts available in your UI. Yeah?
We'll talk about the medium.
Okay. Other questions? Yeah, got one here.
All right, I have two questions.
Yeah.
Can you talk about, since you use the block layout to place blocks that you can't edit on one page, how that works with translating the content?
Yep.
And then I imagine as a piece of the plugin, are you able to limit what layouts are available per entity type?
Yes. So I didn't add it to this demo because I really didn't have time to do it, but I'm going to answer your second question first and then your first question second. Yes, layouts themselves and blocks both have a limiting hook that you're past some criteria, you can evaluate the criteria, and then you can specify what blocks and what layouts are available on that basis, right? So if, for instance, you wanted to prevent article nodes from having access to, say, all the core layouts, you could make that decision. Likewise, you could also do things like limit what blocks are available. So that's, I think, a really key part of actually building usable user interfaces around this, because as more and more blocks become available, you may want to have more and more draconian rules about what blocks are available when and where. And as to your first question, those blocks, the custom blocks, are, I mean, they're just entities, right? Maybe re-ask that question again one more time. So you added that content. Yep. You're going to translate that. Translation. Okay. Yeah. So we aren't attempting to translate the individual components of the layout. It's probably doable, but we're not trying to do that, because all the layout work you've seen done, all the customizations, is a field. So we created our own custom field, so the entire layout is translatable in and of itself. That's not exposed through the user interface. It's one of the things that we're going to get squared away before stable, which should be 8.7. But we have test coverage in place to prove it. So you know, you can completely change the content on a per language basis. So also, before anyone asks, it's a field, therefore it's also revision aware, but we have to build some custom interfaces in order to make the revisioning work the way that we want. Yeah?
Regarding restriction, there's a module called layout restrictions or layout builder restrictions, and I think the developer is keeping it pretty up to date, so it allows you to say, you know, only allow these blocks for these content types. I think maybe per user also, so it really can change the experience a lot from just like an overwhelming, like I have no idea what to put on the page, to something more manageable for individual editors.
Yep. I think it's layout builder restrictions is what I think it is. We only have a couple more minutes, so what I'm going to do is come back to my slides real quick. Obviously, we did some of that. There is a contributor sprint on Friday. I'm obligated to tell you about this, and I think you should be there. I'm not obligated to say that. Please evaluate sessions and feedback, but more importantly, and what I really want to talk about now, is we have a BOF right now, pretty much 15 minutes in 205 Palladium. So if you want to ask more questions, Ted and I will both be there, and we can really kind of help answer more of these questions. We'll take a few more. We've got just a couple more minutes, right? Yep, go ahead.
Sorry if it's already answered, but if we have some custom paragraph types and we want to add them as as a block, is it possible with Layout Builder?
No. However, I said earlier that Layout Builder works with entities, and paragraphs are entities. Therefore, you can visit your paragraphs and go to Manage Display, and you can customize the layouts of your paragraphs, right? So let's say you have a paragraphs-heavy system today, and rather than building like a bunch of twig templates or something to back what you're doing there, if you wanted to make that available through the user interface, you could absolutely turn Layout Builder on and go lay out your individual paragraph types, and that would just automatically work everywhere where they currently are. Can you place them as blocks? No. The problem here is actually about deltas. So it's one of the things that we'd like to solve because, like, let's say you have a multi-value image field, just to keep it really simple. It'd be nice to say, I want the first image in this field to be here. I want it displayed with this image style. And then I want all of the other ones, 1 through n, displayed here in maybe a gallery, right? And so having the ability to do that would translate to paragraphs really well for us. Because if you're already using paragraphs and you want to sprinkle paragraphs willy-nilly on the page, it'd be nice to be able to say like, oh, well, that's an entity reference field or entity reference revision field. Put 0 here, put 1 there, put 2 through x here, right? So that sort of functionality would be really nice. We don't have the blocks that do that field level placement nuanced enough to take care of deltas yet, but it is also on the roadmap of things that we want to see done. So today, no. In the long term, we'd very much like the answer to that to be yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're out of time.
Great. Thank you for coming. Again, if you want to talk more, we'll be in 205 Palladium.